Steve, thank you so much for being here. I just want to introduce you to the loan officers listening in. On the personal side, you've been married for 15 years and you have three wonderful kids. You've had a successful military career. You've been serving for 19 years so far. You're actively giving back to the veteran community. You view wealth as being present with the people that you love. On the business side, you went from zero to $530,000 in your first year as a broker owner. You do 5 loans a month while having a full-time career as a pilot, and you've been a millionaire multiple times over by the time you hit 40. So with all that being said, what's the one message you could share with the world based on your life experience?
I think, well, first, Sam, love being here. Hopefully this can land with someone who's listening, but you really have to, what I would share is you have to keep trying. You know, a lot of people look at overnight successes, you build certain things. What some people don't know about myself is this is actually the third company I've built. And mortgage, I kind of fell into because I was a financial coach with the Dave Ramsey organization. And I just always did financial planning for people and helped them out. And then it went from that to I was a bookkeeping, that owned a bookkeeping company. Then I owned a property management company. And then mortgage is what I kind of fell into, and then worked as an employee for a couple of people before I went on my own. And so the message I'd want anyone to listen to is you have to keep learning and you have to keep trying. Entrepreneurship is about taking swings at bat, and eventually you're going to connect with one. And when it connects, then you know that's what you need to, hold on to for a while for that entrepreneurial season you're in.
I find it to be stacking a lot of different skills, and you don't know what skills you need until you come across a problem. And it is about fine tuning and going and doing it multiple times. What's really interesting about you, Steve, is that you've had a full-time career or two while you've been building all these businesses. What's your thought or logic about doing multiple things at once? Because most people say, I can only do one thing.
Well, I think it's very simple. Imagine trying to build a company that you can't answer the phone in. And everyone says, some great leaders out there always say, answer your phone, you're going to miss the lead, answer it all the time. I think we know a lot of these people. And I 100% agree, but that doesn't mean you have to answer the phone. That means the phone needs to be answered when someone calls and called back immediately. And so I think for me, what I learned was whenever we really got into building the mortgage company and having to fly, I might be in the air for 14 hours and I can't do anything. So you had to build the system and the process from the very beginning before you, quote, hit a certain level, or before you hit, we're a branch manager. Like as a junior loan officer, you have to start building the system and the process, because I think a lot of people will say this, your production falls to the level of your system, not to your motivation or how active you are. Everything will fall to the level of your system, and the better your system has on engagement, the better you'll connect with the client quicker. And so I think that is something that's very important to understand is, you have to start building your system very, very early on. And we'll go with your next question too, because I have some more thoughts on that too.
Yeah, I just want to clarify this because this is, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, when Steve says systems, he's not talking about a software. It can include a software, but it just really means how are things done? It can be done by a person, it can be done by you, it can be done by a computer, doesn't matter, but how are things getting done? Keep sharing on this because this is amazing.
Yeah, so Sam, this is very simple. I learned this from Michael Hammond, one of the best coaches out there and he's, from the very beginning, he said, since you can't do this, you have to document everything you're doing. So there's an Excel spreadsheet, a Google Excel, Google Doc, and I just Loom videoed all of my actions. And there's like 40 steps. And at first it was everything that Steve was doing. And then I made another column that said pre-approval manager or LP1, loan partner one, or whatever term you want to use it. And then I said, well, they do that now. I don't do that. And then what happens is you end up identifying the critical component of what a loan officer should be doing. And the administrative stuff you want to start pushing off. And so I started that when I was doing maybe a half a loan a month. Just because I was like, hey, this is what this guy said to do. I trust him. I like him. I'm paying for coaching. Like, I'm a huge advocate of coaching. And so he showed me early on, and we still use these documents where we refine them. And then whenever you have an issue in mortgage, you have a people problem or a process problem. If you don't have a process, you can't blame the person. So if you're getting frustrated with someone you're working with, well, create the process and then have them follow the process. And that's how you're actually going to validate your system but that's just Loom and a Google spreadsheet. That's all you need to get started, to start building that type of system.
And how often do you go back and adjust your system?
Oh, every time we find a constraint.
Okay.
So if I identify, for an example, we're doing some refinances right now. I am 90% purchase, 10% refi. I don't really do any refis. I don't solicit refis really. I do them for past clients. I've just always been purchase because someone taught me early on is build a relationship with the realtor. That is always going to kind of carry your bread. And then when the refinances come around, the realtors are like, no, I'm working with this guy. So, we identified pretty quickly if we're trying to reclone a file or we're doing something of, hey, there's a little issue that popped up. And Ashley, she's amazing. Absolutely love her. She's our pre-approval person. We were having some issues. I was like, hey, let's redo this process real quick. And Loom AI will give you an SOP. And then I send it over and I say, hey, take a look at it. What do you think? Oh yeah. Hey, let me add this. Let me add that. Okay, cool. Now we've documented the process. So the next one that comes through, and it's okay to make a mistake at all. But if you're starting to see repeated mistakes, repeated behaviors, normally you have a process problem. And I swear, I don't care if you're at half a loan or if you got to get something in place to where you don't make the same mistake or your team doesn't.
There's so much to unpack there. I want to first tackle one thing, just put my 2 cents on it. If any loan officer here is a manager or is intending to be a manager, I think you should double listen to what Steve said. Like, go back. It's okay to make mistakes. Like, your employees making mistakes. That is not a metric that you should be concerned about. Does my employee make a mistake? It's inevitable. People are going to make mistakes. The metric is, how do they recover from a mistake? And then how quickly do they learn from it and don't make the same mistake? Especially because, like you said, people, process. So we have to kind of create the process, and then we have to manage the people and allow a little slack for people to make mistakes. But I want to go back to kind of step 1, which I believe to be mindset. Because you do something that a lot of loan officers just have never thought about doing. What was your mindset, or what is your mindset for having this approach?
I think your mindset is the most powerful thing in mortgage, period. And I think the approach is, and we've talked to several loan officers, a lot of loan officers call me, I reach out to other loan officers, and I always say, if you tell yourself, if I can only do one more loan this month, I'm going to be amazed. I'm going to be whatever. You will literally mindset one loan, or, hey, I can't get any business because whatever. And I think there's a lot to be learned in the mindset of kind of what I built is, like, we have a structure to take more loans in right now. Like, absolutely. We have the structure built. We have the blueprint built, for, an additional loan partner too, kind of how we want it to run through the system. But the mindset right now is, I always ask people, what do you want to build? Because if you don't have a mindset of what you're trying to build, you end up in this very chaotic, this guy's doing a bunch, this branch manager is doing a bunch, this whatever. And you have to understand what you're trying to build. Our goal within the first year was to be at 5 loans a month. That was the goal. And it's on a vision board up here. I'm a big visual person, but that was the goal. And we're like, okay, we're maintaining 5 loans a month. And that's the mindset. But I don't want 30 loans a month, because I know I couldn't deliver a good service to the veteran, to the realtor. And I think that's very important to understand is, systems allow you to grow. And I find a lot of, loan officers, they just try to strong arm themselves into 7, 10 loans, and you end up riding this crazy roller coaster, right? Market, you get too much, you go down, and you start riding this. And it's more of like, create a system that can do 5 loans a month. It's not that tough. And then,
Yeah.
you have to kind of delegate some of that. But I think the main thing on your mindset is your mind needs like the target. And if you don't have a target, then it's going to feel very chaotic. And I think the last thing on the mindset is most loan officers are not proud of the work they've done. And I have found to be a very big inhibitor of them going forward is like, and there's so many great loan officers that we both mutually know, but you really have to be proud of the daily work you're doing to get the future results you want. And so many people have that backwards, and it's like, oh my gosh, I only closed X amount. I'm like, be freaking proud. You spent an hour today calling realtors, or an hour today you're working your database. Like, that's the success of a loan officer, is that it's not the outcomes like that all works out. It's the daily activities, the weekly activities. And I always take my mindset of saying, like, I know if I do these things, I'm gonna be proud of Steve Tutton. I know I can lead this company. I'm gonna be proud of Steve Tutton. And that's what I go for daily.
So for you, do you think, are you proud with just doing the activity, or are you proud with like a result of an activity? Not like an outcome, like I get leads, but like I improved in this.
Both sides. I think the daily activities lead to the improvement. For example, we just changed the way every person I talk to, every lead, we treat them as if we're onboarding them as a client for life in Aviator Home Loans, as an employee. If I talk to Sam, I'm going to talk to you like I'm onboarding you for life. I don't care if you say you have another pre-approval. I don't care. I say, you know what? You're going to get the best version of Steve today. I'm going to be present with my feet. I'm going to talk to you. And one thing we identified very quickly on is clients like a journey. It's like a big snake. And too many people just say, here's your pre-approval. Let me know when you go under contract. And it's a journey. You have to take them through an emotional journey. And I think that is where we found a lot of success. Our close rate currently is at 91% from taking a pre-approval to closing.
That number blows my mind. 91% is insane. The average is 40 to 60%. If anyone's 40 to 60, like we're not even looking at like, hey, let's fix anything, you're good. You're at 91%. That means 91% of people who are pre-approved are buying a home with you at some point.
Yeah.
That is insane. Can we go over your onboarding? Like,
yeah.
Every lead is being onboarded. That is a mindset shift for me. And if it's okay with you, I want to implement it in my branch, because that is...
No, I think, and I love this. I love sharing this. I've learned this through other people, and I've learned this. People want to feel like they're heard and loved on, period. Mm-hmm. And I have found early in my career, I messed up mortgage at the beginning. I was so focused on revenue, numbers, the closing, and I was so focused on how many people can I talk to? How many people can I talk to? Very important, right? I always say conversation leads to relationship leads to trust leads to the transaction. That's just the simple way I put it in my mind. So when I onboard a client, for instance, we had someone get referred into us, I personally will spend about 15 minutes with them, and we go over more of the process. And for instance, this person said, I got pre-approved by this other guy, but they're not local anyhow. So I said, well, here's how we treat you. I'm going to onboard you like you're just one of my employees, and we take it from here. Here's my process. We're going to chat kind of quickly of just some basic qualifying. Then we're going to get into our process. Once you fill out the application, I always introduce the next person. Like Ashley has been in the industry for 20 years and probably done about 2,500 loans. Ashley, who is phenomenal, and she truly is a godsend, and she's going to take it. She's going to help you with the administrative task. Once you are pre-approved, you're going to come back to me, and we're going to do an hour-long Zoom call. We're going to do the top 20 questions of mortgage, and we're going to custom build this to your financial needs. We're going to go over your rate, and when we leave this call, you're going to know your monthly payment and your cash to close. And a part of this also is, this is what I'm telling the client, and then this is kind of what I want to share to you and other people. We start telling them about our post-closing 3-year maintenance plan. So as I'm doing this, I show them Arrive. I show them as a broker, hey, here's some options. And this doesn't apply broker or retail. This doesn't matter. But I show them the back end. Hey, for 3 years, I have a software. I'm going to monitor your rate. I'm going to monitor your equity. You don't have to do that anymore. So don't worry about the news. I'm going to do quarterly check-ins to see if you want any budgeting advice or home insurance shopping. And then, by the way, I also sidebar tell the realtor, hey, I'm monitoring this with them, with you together. So if we get any alerts or something like that, I can tell the realtor. And this is on the initial phone call. I am telling them, like, hey, and this is the number one thing. Everyone says this one Zoom call, everyone loves it. That one Zoom call took us from 37% to 91%. If I get in front of Sam, and now I can look at your thing and say, hey, you know what? Instead of doing more down payment, let's pay off the car loan. That's $7,000 remaining. Hey, let's work on a 2-1 buy down. Hey, let's work on this and that. I have undivided attention from someone, and then you're just value stacking. Hey, here's my post-maintenance plan. And they're like, tell me about that. I've never heard about this. I'm like, no, it's really cool, Sam, because what we normally get post-closing is you see a lot of news, the rates are moving all around. Like, we're going to monitor that for you. Like, you don't have to do that anymore. And you can always reach out to us, but we will reach out to you. And now they're thinking, I haven't seen that before either. Hey, I haven't seen this. And by the time you leave the Zoom call, and this is really for the loan officers, I would say out there, they know their monthly payment and their cash to close. Why is that so important? Because then you pick up a phone and you call a realtor and say, I've discussed every scenario with them. They are ready to go, because the last thing a realtor wants is friction when the client says, I want the house. I need to go talk to my lender and run numbers. And now the realtor is waiting 12, 18 hours to get the offer submitted. It's more of like, we are ready to go. They're good. The second you put an offer in, I'll call the listing agent right when you submit the offer, and we will get this thing. And I'm telling this to the client. Hey, here's our strategy. We call the listing agent for you, and you're just value stacking, and you're truly genuinely helping someone. That's what I don't think people understand. Like, but it takes an hour of my day, and I do these calls. But for anyone trying to grow, Ashley handles all the paperwork to pre-approve them.
Wow. So you're just showing up on that Zoom meeting. Everything's prepared. Like you take 10 minutes to prepare beforehand. And then on that meeting, you're showing up. So you're having the 15-minute conversation.
Yeah.
And the Zoom meeting and everything else, your process, which was created, is being handled by the people you've hired and trained.
Yeah. And this is really cool. You're like this, Sam. So when I first started, I was spending 8.5 hours with the client on the front end. And now we've got it down to about an hour and 20 minutes per client.
And that includes, the first call and then that Zoom call. And then what happens? What's your personal involvement with the client until they go under contract?
So when they're under contract, we try to check in every 2 weeks. I check in with the client about every 2 weeks.
And that's you doing it?
Yeah, I do that. Okay. I'll check in with them. And normally they're soft touches. They're, hey, I'm thinking about you this week. I'm available if you need anything. The team's available. Like, for instance, right before I hopped on here, a client, we're working an issue, and I just screenshot, send it over to Ashley, and she's working it right now.
Okay, perfect. I want to go back to this process you have, because I'm tying it to what you said earlier, that this is your third business. In the value you're offering to clients, you are utilizing all the skills that you learned from your other businesses. Like, you're literally looking at their financial picture and saying, hey, this mortgage we're going to design to fit your life. And by the way, here's the things you can move around. You're looking at their car payments. You're looking at their credit score, all of their other debt, and you're designing everything for them and giving advice not just in the mortgage, but outside of it. It's their entire holistic financial life. And the part that impresses me the most, and I've always said this, but no one really understands it. If you want clients to shop you less, have a value for after the loan closes. Then you have differentiated yourself. And here you're already sending the client on working with you for 3 years afterwards. You have differentiated yourself outside of just the closing, which is mainly the rate and cost. So there's more reasons for them to work with you.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of this stuff is, I've had to learn this. I didn't have this stuff set up at the beginning. Like, these are things I've had to learn along the way, the hard way, right? Potential EPOs or potential issues coming on the back end. And you're just like, when you get frustrated, I always just kind of take that as a learning lesson. Like, why am I frustrated? Is it a people or process problem? That's a process problem. Like, okay, let's put the process in. A part of being an entrepreneur is you're going to take scars. You're going to lose money. You're going to make bad decisions. You're going to, and so I just look at a lot of these as learning lessons of just saying, okay, yeah, we need a very serious back end. And the value proposition of realtors right now is they don't have time to monitor the clients after closing. So right now we're trying to research, like, can we do mailers with the realtor and me together to send out 12 months after closing?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some recipe stuff we have to really make sure we're watching out for there, but like there is ways to do client parties, or there's so many different ways you can, because what I have found with realtors when I talk to them is it's easier for me to stay in contact with them than the realtor sometimes. And usually it's because the realtor's in their car, they're driving around, they're doing things. So if I can create environments of, and I don't do this, but like quarterly client parties where I invite the client and I invite the realtor, it's a point for them to get back together and reconnect. There's just so many ways you can provide value post-closing. I think that is the pre-closing, everyone can provide value. Post-closing is where the money's made at, in my opinion.
That's where you get those referrals from the clients. Every transaction leading to 5 transactions, 10 transactions, some people say. It's that post-closing that really matters. So you told me something in our phone call beforehand that I think more people need to hear. How many realtors do you really work with?
About 3, 2 to 3.
2 to 3. Okay, so tell us where your business comes from.
Yeah, so I actually prepared all this before we got here. So for the year, and I think it's important to understand where your business comes from and then the LTV of the client that you get. Most people...
Client or referral partner?
So it's important to understand like where the business comes from and then how much that client is worth from that referral source.
Got it.
And so for us, and I kind of broke it down into, we have organic social media, we have realtor referral, post clients, and then just personal people that reach out. And I broke down those 4 sections because that's really the 4 ways we get business. And it's very interesting. Realtors, there's only 2 to 3 we actually work with quite a bit. And so far this year, we've gotten 14 closings from realtors from that. Out of, we got, 46 funded, 39 funded, and then 46 total for the year. And so 14 came from realtors. However, I will share the LTV of the client that comes from them. The gross revenue is only about $78,000. It's actually lower, and only one of the 14 is actually my ICA. My ideal client is military and pilots.
Interesting.
And so I think that's, and so when the first thing I always start with is data. You got to have a basic data. And I'm not saying there's some people with some Excel spreadsheets that I'm like, man, you'd make Einstein cry by this. I'm just very simple as like, I got 14, only one was actually the type of person I like working with. The other 13 were just normal loans, and each one was about $7,800. I think social media, I did 10 from social media so far this year. That's LinkedIn and Facebook. 9 were my ideal client, and the gross revenue per loan's $11,000.
So 30-ish% higher for the social media deals versus the realtor referrals.
And personal. So for me, a lot of people will say, and there's a lot of great ways to generate business. There's not a right or wrong way to do it. But for me, the client, I look at how many leads to closings per channel. And then I look at the value on the funding, the revenue side. And I identified like social media and personal is almost 30% more than a realtor referral.
Wow. You are thinking about it as an entrepreneur. And just for everyone listening, every loan officer is an entrepreneur. You don't have to be a broker owner to be an entrepreneur.
Correct.
It's just different tools of running your business. Amazing. So with that knowledge, what is your goal? What is it that you want to build, going back to what you said earlier?
So our goal is to build to 15 loans a month. That's
15,
our goal.
15.
Yeah, 15 loans a month.
Okay, and let's go over the team first, and then let's go finish your thought, and then let's go over the team, and then how you're going to get there.
Yeah. It's 15 loans a month. Yeah, I can answer your question about the team. I mean, the team is the blueprint's built already. So
you already have the team that can handle 15 loans a month.
Yeah, we need one more person to get to 15. Yeah.
So what will it look like when it's completed?
Yeah, so really great. So right now we have an administrative assistant. She's amazing, Maria. Literally one of the best people. She is actually a virtual assistant. Um, and what people, I really encourage loan officers, no matter where you're at, to have someone administratively. So for me as a broker owner, she handles my compliance, she handles my NMLS stuff, she handles any task. I take my gross revenue, divide it by 2,000 hours, and that is my hourly rate, wage, right? So if that task is below my hourly rate, then I delegate it off. I document and delegate to Marie. She's been with me now over a year, maybe a year and a half. And it's great. We have a daily, we're on chat. We have a weekly meeting. She handles my books. She's also bookkeeping. And so I really encourage people, to set up an admin side. Okay. Then we have a pre-approval manager. Pre-approval manager. Why do I say pre-approval manager? Because she's way more than a loan partner. And I would just say the verbiage, like when you introduce a client to a pre-approval manager, you get more like the client's like, oh, she's going to help me. When you say, hey, here's my loan partner, sometimes they still keep coming to me for issues. She's also a loan officer, which is very important because if I'm flying or can't do something, she can still function in the loan officer role.
She can still lock rates and then discuss rates.
She can lock rates. She individually is licensed in the states I work in. So there's zero issues. So when you build a system that's redundant, I could be flying and that pre-approval Zoom call, here's the secret, is it's done on my time. So when I'm flying, I put the notes of what we already talked about in the system. So if a contract comes in, she just calls him and says, hey, Sam, here's where it's at. We're still talking. You good with it? Any questions? Nope. Cool. Let's go. It's locked. The locking for us is probably less than 30 seconds, the call.
Wow.
Because they already know, they already know everything. The client already knows what to expect. So that's her. And we can really we flexed up to like 10 loans a month a couple times, and 10 loans kind of starts pushing the system pretty hard. And I'm very cautious of working hours. So we built it to where we have coverage basically from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. I cover the mornings, and then I kind of turn my phone off around 3 p.m. when my kids get home. And then Ashley covers till 6 p.m. She covers 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Tangent note for myself here. So you guys have one business number and your clients and referral partners don't have your personal cell then?
A couple have my personal, but for the most part, they come through the business number.
Gotcha. And your business number, you've taken it with you. This has been my pain point because I started my business with my cell phone number and I could never just switch it. So you just went with the business and that number is yours. You take it with you wherever you go.
Yeah. And we set it up. And the nice thing is the realtors know it. They know to call in. It's going to be answered from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's Ashley's. That's her job. And she's very good at it. She's been in the industry a long time. She's a loan officer, so she can function anything I can do. And then when it comes to processing, at this stage, we brought in a third-party processor for the company. And that was more of a revenue decision because to bring in an employee for processing it's a big expense, and it lowers your cost, your CAC, basically your client acquisition cost will go up significantly because you have to fulfill that. And so I would say we're a small shop broker owner. We use a third party for now. And it's very seamless. We're all in a chat together. So like we're constantly in contact. And I think that's the key. If you bring third party in, you have to have constant comms. You can't have a phone call. That's very disruptive into an organization. You have to be able to like chat, video chat, hey, give me my Tuesday update. Every Tuesday she sends me an update. By the way, that's when we call the realtors on Tuesday to give them an update. So I get the information, and so the team right now is built for about 8 to 9 loans. And then, the business owner side, I'm in charge of capital and fill in the funnel, resources, get more people in the funnel. And so our next hire is basically another Ashley or a junior to Ashley,
the pre-approval manager.
Yeah, either she gets an assistant or she gets someone to work beside her as the loans come in. They can be processing, because they do all the heavy lifting. I know how to get in here and look at documents, but like I'm not going through documents.
Yeah. It's below your hourly wage.
And I think that,
Salary.
and I didn't realize that earlier on. I was getting in the weeds. I'm trying to get document. I'm trying to get this. Now we were very technically proficient at airline contracts, very technically proficient. And that's because I fly under contracts, airline contracts. So sometimes there's a question there. Yeah, I'm going to hop in and help. I'm not like, it's only you do it. It's like, no, you, in the best way. Well, I'll come to that thought here in a second, but that's the team. That's how the team is built right now. It's only 3 of us.
Amazing. And think about a lean business. And with that business, with that model, you can get your revenue to 1.5 million, 2 million.
I think with that model, we'd get the revenue with one more 15. Yeah, to be around 2 million.
2 million.
With 4
So
people.
a minimum 2 million. Actually, at 15, and your loan sizes must be higher.
Yeah, they're pretty high.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a talking about like how much money that can be made with a small but very clear process and good people. How much can be done? This is a great example of it. Finish your thought. What you were thinking.
Yeah, and I think one, and I just share this as something I had to learn early on, and I messed it up. Is you're either a maker or a manager. There's 2 highways. When you're in a file, you're a maker. A manager is looking. And so what I have found is you have to let makers make, I call it, and managers manage. So my calendar is more open than Ashley's calendar and Marie's calendar. They are makers in the company. And I think that's really important. You have to find time. And so I don't just pick up a phone and call Ashley when I want to, because she's making, she's in the process, she's working. And if it's very disruptive to a maker, if a manager hops in really quick and is like, hey, 5 minutes, I got this question, you need to fix it. A lot of times I'm in charge of resources as the owner, entrepreneur, branch manager, you're in charge of resources. That does not give you the authority to get on your maker's calendar whenever you want. It's extremely disruptive to them.
That's so good. I'm learning so much here. Is that why you have it designed that in the mornings you are taking the phone calls and she can just work on files, and then in the afternoon she's kind of done the making and now she can be taking calls in and being interrupted?
Yeah, and it's very clear. And if I need something, then I usually just send a message and say, hey, at your next convenience, I say what I want to talk about when you're free. Because what I have found is maker versus manager. I know I've been a maker before, and if a boss says, hey, Sam, whenever you get a chance, I need 5 minutes of your time. Sam now can't think. It doesn't matter when you call him. You might as well stop what you're doing right now, because for the next 30 minutes, you're gonna be like, what does he want to talk about? Am I getting laid off? Am I doing this? I don't know what's going on. Did I mess something up? Am I going to get this? And so what I've always said is whenever I try to communicate to quote the maker is I will say, hey, I have a question on this file for income. Whenever you get a chance, just let me know and we'll set up a quick time. And that way they're like, okay, that's an income. Okay, cool. Got it. Now, if we have an emergency, we all know the definition of a loan emergency is different for every type of person. Right?
Please expand on that. I think we need to hear it. More people need to hear this.
Yeah. Most loan emergencies are self-created, first off. And I learned this from a very good, actually I learned this from Major over at Edge. And most people don't triage correctly on a loan emergency. They just start going crazy and they're disruptive. They're calling people, they're doing this and that. And I think step one in the military or of anything of a loan emergency, you have to be still and sit on your hands and gather your thoughts immediately. Start taking notes, start writing things down. A loan emergency, we had one a couple weeks ago, but it's very, very specific of how you want to triage it. And I think one thing that I always look at is saying, okay, we have a loan emergency. Most of them are actually self-induced, number one. The second thing is, if we have, no kidding, have one, a significant issue, unbeknownst to anyone, I always tell people it's just news. It's not bad. And you create solutions, not statements. You give options, not statements. And that opens up, you're on a team with realtors, with title companies, with the law office. And I've always, and this is a lot from the military kind of problem solving, I think, is we've been very good at communicating immediately, really quickly with, hey, we have this issues come up. Here's what we're working on. Here's how much time you have to triage. I need 2 days. And then I need 3 hours. I need 2 hours. This isn't going to close today. I need 2 hours. I'm going to get back to you. Like, instead of just this, I've been on the receiving end. Someone's like, why'd you send someone to closing and you had this issue? And now everyone's mad. But I just think a lot of the emergency things aren't really emergencies. It's just more problem solving. And we've had a client who inadvertently resigned from a job one time. She told them that she was going to end at the end of the school year, and they just terminated her when she submitted the resignation letter. But she was just telling them that she would be at the end of the school year, she's not going to come back. And they took that as a verbal resignation.
Wow.
So when they ran the VOE, it had an end date now, and all sorts of stuff. But we were still fine on the income. But she lost sleep. I was like, no, just reach out. This isn't an emergency. Just reach out. We're still qualified. We're good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So this is like a mindset about how to handle emergencies. I think this is really good. We can have an entire podcast about loan emergencies. I want to actually go now into the process of how you're going to get to generating 15 deals a month.
Yeah.
So right now, before we go into that, what is your lead to pre-approval conversion?
I wish I had better numbers on that. We track a lot of just the funding numbers, the lead stuff. We have so many quote calls. So how are we going to get to that? We have identified social media, organic, personal is the best growth avenue. We do not say we don't not work with realtors, but those are the acquisition channels that we've identified. We have a very specific way on social media we engage, that we will make a post, we will make a reel, and I get a lot of coaching on this stuff. And if you make a comment, you'll get a message from me, and it will say, hey, Sam, thank you so much for engaging with my content. It means a lot. Thank you. Just
And this is for new people, not people that you've already talked to that are re-engaging.
Yeah, anyone. Like, if we make a post and we get 30 people like, love, whatever, we send 30 messages. Now, if we send them, obviously you don't get 2 of them back to back, but we send them one just saying, hey, thank you.
And again, sorry, to clarify, you're not sending this message to everyone who has always engaged with you. This is new people that are engaging.
Yeah, absolutely, new people.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And
that's for everyone listening. So it's not like just a line of thank you for engaging with my comment or with my post. Like, if you look at one person's DM box.
Yeah, but we do over 50 of these a day between LinkedIn and Facebook.
Wow.
And that's what. And so, like, and one thing that happens is the conversion from social media is incredibly high because they're so warm. They're warmed up incredibly well. They've been watching your content. They know you. They've been, oh my God, you saw that post. And so we do that at a very high level. Now, we started that about a month and a half ago, so I don't have the lead conversion on that, the data just yet. But I have a virtual assistant doing that. I document exactly how I want it done. And then I get a message, hey, this realtor, we just had a realtor reach out on LinkedIn, and she's been in the industry about 30 years. And I was like, hey, thanks so much for engaging on the content. And she goes, yeah, I love what you're doing. Thank you so much. I have this problem right now. How would you recommend? I have a divorce problem with the client and they need help. What do you recommend? And it's not about, quote, closing a quick deal. It's about creating the relationship, because the relationship leads to the trust, and then trust leads to the transaction.
So what was the thing you said? Conversations lead to relationships, relationships lead to trust, and trust leads to transaction. So you're creating that with your content. Your content is like what can start a conversation if someone engages. And all you're doing is sending a DM. And if they respond, great. If there's an opportunity, you go. If it's just a thank you, I'm assuming you're not really pushing for anything there. But if there's a need, now they feel okay asking you because you've started the conversation. And now you're just going into the relationship. You're still not selling.
Correct. And so we have that. We have a newsletter with about 700 people on it. And we have about an open rate of about 48%, 49.
Weekly,
And
daily, monthly?
I do it weekly. I send it out. I use Kit, K-I-T. It's free, super easy. And I just pump education on it. I think I made one post about if you want to refinance, I'm going to try to beat the mailers. Give me a call. And I got like 5 calls from it.
Do you do anything like HomeBot for your past clients and video, or
we do Home IQ?
Home IQ. And do you send any like videos, updates on that?
Not yet. So that was kind of part of that 3-year maintenance plan that we've started like rolling out. And so there's more expansion on the back end, but we use My Home IQ on the back end.
Got it. And for the past, and this is a tangent, for the 3-year maintenance plan, is everything going on the calendar as soon as the client closes? So is it your VA?
Yeah. So once they go on the calendar, starts the funding date, and then that starts, and we get alerts to reach out to them. And then Home IQ sending them the equity. So a lot of this, and this is something really, I think anyone can take away. Most loan officers do this. They just don't label it. You have to label it to where your client understands it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where a lot of loan officers will be like, why am I doing what you're doing? I'm like, label it, tell them that. Because they don't like, well, I'm going to give you this home IQ thing. It's great. You're going to do like, they're like, cool. No, hey, Sam, I'm going to monitor your equity for you. I'm going to monitor your rate for you. I'm going to check in with you on this monthly interval. Every quarter, I'm going to reach out. We get the alert. And it's a part of my 3-year post-funding mortgage maintenance plan. And this is something that I do for free for all my clients.
It's so good. It's so good. Could I go on a little tangent and just apply this to realtors as well? So I teach this to my loan officers who want to meet with realtors. And is it okay if I role play this with you?
Yeah.
Because what you said is exactly true. Of we do a lot of it. It's just we don't spell it out correctly. So like think of it like this, Steve. Imagine you're a realtor. If you just think of this as this, you give me a lead. Just give me name, phone number, and email. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow up with them. I'm gonna talk to them. I'm gonna make you look amazing. I'm going to get them very comfortable to purchase, get them excited to buy, hand them off to you so you can go do your thing with them. I'm going to stay in touch with them. Doesn't matter if it takes 3 minutes or 3 years. I will bring them to you. I will update you every week on it. And then I'm going to get 2 referrals per client while they're in the transaction. I'm going to get 2 referrals from them every year after because I'm going to stay in touch with them. And all of those people are coming back to you. And again, this is all your people. They're not my people. And I'm going to do it for free. Are you interested in that?
Yeah, sounds amazing.
That's what we do. We just don't tell realtors that's what we do. That's exactly what we do for our realtor partners. And it's just naming it, which is amazing. I love that. And you're just doing the same thing with your current clients.
And I think that's one thing I learned was you have to chunk it down. And most loan officers like to chunk it up. And I think a little bit of it's to like make themselves like feel smart of like, look at all the stuff I know that no one else knows or whatever it is. Like chunk this down to where it can be delivered in bite size of like, well, I don't know what that means. Well, it's kind of like a subscription model that's free. We're going to do all these things for you and you don't have to do it. They're like, oh yeah. And then at closing day, I say, hey, you're going to be hearing from me pretty soon and people are like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'll send like the messages are crazy. People are like, I love this. You're going to do all this for me. You're like, yeah, it's the 3-year free. It's free. And we're going to do it for you. They're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah. One other thing that you told me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that every client gets access to your financial well-being course. When did you create that and what's been the results so far?
Yeah, so that one we're rolling out. And so really interesting. So there's a financial literacy course for veterans, airline pilots, kind of our ideal client. And it really goes beyond mortgage. And one thing we've identified with a lot of veterans is they don't know how to do their VA disability claims correctly. Budgeting is actually better than refinancing. Shopping your home insurance is actually better than refinancing sometimes. And so we really created a course on the back end to help them with those items. And we rolled it out about a month and a half ago, kind of the same time. We've really been shifting a lot of things we're doing in the company right now. And it's still kind of trying to find its feet a little bit. I do a weekly Zoom call on it. And, I pick, good topics to talk about. And it's received well with the people in it, but it's just getting the people. A lot of people don't want to carve what we're starting to realize. A lot of people don't want to hear post funding. Like, they'll go back and listen, they'll take the course, but like they don't really quote care to hear from Steve Tunn unless it's a very specific reason. Like we do a lot of we will deal with a lot of high net worth W-2 people as airline pilots and stuff like that. So we have, quote, some accredited investor type presentations that if someone needs to offset some high W-2 income, here are some people you can talk to that give you access to different type of products. I don't endorse them. I'm not a financial advisor, but it just shows like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Well, hey, instead of doing real estate and syndications and buying all these rental homes, you can also do this. Yeah. It's worth a conversation with those people.
Have you thought of using it as a lead magnet for your social media?
Okay. You are on top of something right now. So kind of our plan, if you have any opinions, is we chunked it down and took just the VA portion out. And that's what people get on the front end now.
Interesting.
And then post-closing, they get the rest of it. So we just like, originally there was like VA loan, like how to use your VA loan like a pro, house hacking, all these things. And that was done post-closing. And now we took that section and moved it in the front, just like a mini course. They can see all the other course tiles. And then post-closing, you get the rest of it.
And that's something like you're kind of like a carrot. If you use me, you get the rest of this.
Yeah.
What's been the reception for it?
We haven't had too many come through, so it's tough to get the data yet. I think you have to run things in like quarters. And we're kind of working on the back end of like how to move it around. But my constraint is just getting more leads. I like building systems, but that system's not a constraint of my company just yet. So, I focus more on chunking down that, like how to use your VA loan like a pro into the pre-approval. But that's for the VA people. A lot of, and when you go through like our ideal client, only 1 of 14 from the realtor was a VA loan. The other 13 weren't. So a lot of our value proposition sometimes, and that leads to a lower conversion rate because they don't really meet our quote, kind of ideal avatar that we go for.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm thinking. This is not advice. This is just kind of like how my brain's working right now. Is you have your LinkedIn and you have your Facebook and you have a YouTube channel as well, right?
I do. Yeah. Don't use it too much, but I do.
So like the call to action for all like your profiles, I would imagine would go to this financial literacy course, everything. And I would just give it away because your 3-year follow-up plan is the post value that's so high. And because you've given so much with the course and knowledge and everything, they're just going to trust that this is going to be insanely good and they're going to work with you, I assume. But more importantly, if you're doing weekly Zooms on it, you want to nurture. This is like an organic way to nurture those Zooms.
Yeah.
Not those Zooms, those leads. And a lot of people that maybe don't want to DM you, don't want to have a conversation, but they're interested, they're going to come in and you can convert them when they're ready. It's just a one organic way of converting all those people. I think that might work really well. I don't know if there is a way to even find that through your social media right now. I didn't see it.
No, I mean, so this is really good. And I'm full open book here. So we just recreated kind of the front end because one thing I learned, we do a lot of coaching. We're in the acquisition scaling workshop right now with acquisition.com. And one thing I learned from their group is a lot of people have too many front doors into a company, into their lead, right? They have this coming, and then all of a sudden you have different ways they're coming to your company. You can have different lead magnets, but they all need to funnel through one front door. And so we created basically a VSL one pager. And on that, you can sign up for the weekly Zoom call or just get pre-approved right now. And either one of those send you an email to sign up for the access to that mini course. So either one you hit comes into it, and it's a kind of a quick VSL page. And mainly going after our ideal client on social media because that's where we have identified. I mean, the highest revenue and the close rate is through the roof off social media for us.
Yeah.
So it's still in process, but they get an email that gives them access to that community right when they register for the Zoom call or a pre-approval.
I love it. We're coming at time. The time flies. We're coming up on almost an hour. One question for you. Actually, two questions.
Yeah.
What is one problem that if solved, you will hit 15 loans a month?
Leads.
And that's just more of the social media for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically just content, maybe more content, maybe slightly higher quality content that drives engagement, and then conversion on the DMs.
Yep. So leads is our main constraint right now in the company. We have a great 3-to-1 LTV to CAC ratio, and we post like once a day on a post. We're trying to get up to 20 posts a day, and we're trying to get to 600 units a month, 3,000 in 6 months.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So we are trying to get to 20 posts a day between LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and we want 600 a month, post, reels, all that stuff, and about 3,600 in the next 6 months.
Wow.
And how we do it is we record the hook, the meet, and the call to action. And then we take hook 1, meet 1, call to action, meet 2, or hook 2, meet 1, call to action, hook 3, meet 1, call to action. Then we move it all around and then we put it out there. And you can see, and that is what I have found. And that way you can take basically a filming session, 4 hours, and create over 50 reels. You know, we take all the webinars we do, we put them in Opus Clips, and that gives me another 30 reels. So sometimes webinars, no one shows up to it. Everyone's like, oh, no one showed up to it. I'm like, no, go all in. Imagine you're talking to 5,000 people, the most energy you can give it, because you're going to turn around and put this in the software and you're going to get clips off of it.
Yeah.
Like,
so good.
It's a huge value proposition to yourself,
Amazing.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's how we're getting to the 15.
I love it. I love it. That makes sense. Last question. What advice do you have to loan officers? And like specify the kind of loan officer and what the advice is.
My advice to any loan officer is identify what you want to build, then build it with horse blinders on. Cheer on your competition, cheer on your enemies. I have great people locally that retail can do some things I can't do locally with the Georgia Dream program. I refer Georgia Dream programs to my retail loan officer buddies in Peachtree City. If I can help a client, I'm going to get them with the best person, because that's what we're actually in charge of doing as a loan officer. Not the revenues come, but I just tell people, like, build what you want to build, of how much you want to do, and then figure out how to get there. And then I would advise people get in coaching or go get mentorship from someone who's built that.
That's it. That's a big, big part of it. Get help from someone who is proven that they can get you there. That's the big thing. They can prove that they can get you there. Can loan officers reach out to you?
Absolutely.
What's the best way?
The best way to reach out to me is just email steve@aviatorhomeloans.com or hit us up on social media.
And it's just Steve Ton?
T1.
On social. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having us.